Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on maybe good evening, depending on when you're watching this. This is our first YouTube. I tend to use them as a way to synthesize the units as we're going to use them. Some of it will be content, others of it will simply be procedures you may want to be aware of. But my students tell me over the years that it's proven to be useful. So, without further ado, let us begin. We will have a total of 4 of these. On that last module, as I said in the email I sent you today, you're better off concentrating on that final synthesis project. It can take a great deal of time, and I want you to have the ability to focus your attention on it for that last week. Okay. Keep in mind that leadership as a process, its core essence, is that it is a team effort. That's part of the reason why we have to look at all these theories, most of which have a team dimension to them. Excuse the voice, by the way. It's flu's gone through our family, and I'm the last to get it at the least useful time. And that's another reason, this team stuff, why we ask you to do team projects. In the email I sent you today, we'll be talking about who's going to be on the teams. This is March 1st. Try to get those teams to you certainly by Friday, if I don't hear anything more significant from you. Okay, now, what I'd like you to think about, please, as you approach this whole course on leadership, is to kind of take a tripartite view. It fits well into 3 equal parts. The first one tends to be the framing process from the Bowman and Deal book. Now, I must admit I'm very partial to that. I was privileged to study with Terry Deal a long time ago. But he certainly got my attention, and I think it's a very useful tool that you can use to assess particularly organizational culture, which has an awful lot to do with the nature of leadership that works in a given organization. So that first one is then going to be the Bowman and Deal framing. And it's well articulated, I think, on page 19. That's probably the second chapter, but it's there. You can find it. Okay, the second of the 3 parts would be Carlos Navarrete and Luke Wood's case study approach. And if you want to look at a very, very good tool for studying, assessing case studies, look at what they have on pages 3 through 7. Recognize that you're learning about perhaps working in one of the most complex and dynamic leadership venues you're ever going to find. Community colleges are very different from universities. I have some university experience a long time ago. I've got 8 years now, a little over 8 years with Morgan, and the 6 community colleges I've worked with, and the 9 or 10 that I was on accrediting teams to, reinforces my knowledge that they seriously are more complex, more dynamic. Why? One core reason. We have a far different client base than does a university. It has primarily to do with age, a lot of it to do with gender. Ethnicity is important, perhaps more than in any other kind of educational environment you're going to work in. So take a look at what's said about that in the Navarrete and Wood book on pages 10 and 11. The third dimension is one that is going to be idiosyncratic to each of you. One of the nice things about what I've seen from what you've sent me about yourselves thus far is you have a very, very diverse background. That is desirable. I've looked at somebody that has worked in a multi-campus college. I've got someone in the military. I've got someone on one of the smaller community colleges in the state. All of these contribute to how and why you adapt various leadership theories once you understand the organization's culture. Now, if you're going to you'll hear a good bit about culture because my other life is as a sociologist, and I still practice. I still work with a community development outfit. My home base is Hagerstown, which is 80 miles north of Baltimore. That's why I love this program. I can do good bits of it online. I am on campus, however, at least the better part of 2 days a week. So you have all the ways of contacting. I'm getting off my own story now. But that leadership venue, it can be where you did work, where you're currently working, depending upon the nature of what you are doing. Then it's perhaps now useful to move on to one of the things that Navarrete and Wood do I've always appreciated it when an author would end a chapter with a series of investigative questions, because it helps you to really focus whether you got out of that reading what they intended you to get out of it. So to make a long story short, please use those questions. They're there to help you. Okay, some operational suggestions. One of the things you're going to learn to do, I inherited this from Dr. Henry Link. Some of you, I believe, had a class with Henry. Maybe not, but you will, I'm sure, before the program is over. This is something that he's worked very hard on, and I think it has great potential. If you understand, though, that it's not something you look at the last week of the class, you look at it now, and you begin to see how you can fold into it the experiences you have as a part of your team, as a part of your subunit or your team, as a part of the reading you do, as a part of your assessment of the workforce that you are in or have been in. And that makes it a very useful tool. It will make what you do the last week much, much easier. So keep that thought in mind, please. A couple things that are idiosyncratic, again, my favorite word to me. This is an adult learning experience. I have spent the vast majority of my life working with adult learners. I sought that out as a job. My doctoral research was in that area. Much of the writing I've done has been in that area. And so I am not perceiving this as being an undergraduate course where everybody marches lockstep from week 1 to week 5. That's how we do it. So you will discover that I am not wedded, as perhaps some of my colleagues are, to a timeline, to a very structured approach. That doesn't mean you're not going to get every nickel's worth of experience that you need, because one of the other things that I look at what we're doing is that this is a dialogue among all of us. So if you run across something very good, I would consider it very nice if you would go ahead and share it with me. I will share things with you. Many of them may not want to use right now, but you've got other courses ahead of you, so keep that thought in mind. I'll give you an example of what I mean with this timeline business. We started yesterday, the second, last day of February, okay? Our next module starts on the 7th of March. That is your working parameter. If you need a little bit more time, nothing is ever really with me late. If you have to go into the 7th or 8th to get an assignment in, I'm okay with that. But I will tell you, the last thing in the world that you want to get yourself involved with at Morgan State University is an incomplete. It is the most draconian system you will ever work with. So I don't give them. It causes you more grief and me more grief than either one of us wants. So don't let yourself get too far behind. Thankfully, this is your second course, maybe third. You have a sense of how quickly 5 weeks passes. I will promise you, as a part of that I try to respond to virtually everything that involves me. I read through 17 or 18 reactions this morning as you got reacquainted with your colleagues. I simply read them and then I hit so that you know I've read it. But anything that involves me, I will respond to. I look at the discussion board at least twice a day, and you'll never wait longer than 36 hours for a response to anything. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, nothing ever goes. I have to do a presentation. Don't ask me why. My cockamamie son got me involved in it on the Scottish poet Robert Burns. And he often said the best laid plans of mice and men oft go aglee, which is Scottish for going to the porcelain convenience. Together, I've never in 51 years had a problem that I could not solve with a student or group of students. But I don't read minds. I can't know if there's a problem. So please tell me. Call me, email me, whatever. Come to the office. Every Sunday I will send you, I guess I did it yesterday because the class just started, but every Sunday I send you the week's office when I will be there instead of in my office at home. Okay, another thing I don't do, some of my colleagues love try to herd you together and use GoToMeeting or use Google Hangout. That's fine, except you're working people, you're adults. To getting even 8 of you into one place at one time is very difficult. So I don't use it. That doesn't mean if you want to Skype with me, I won't do it. Obviously, yes, I will. Okay. My final comment before I say goodbye, I'm 4 seconds over, but that's okay. Any course in this program is a collaborative effort. I expect as much input from you as I will give to you. So please feel comfortable to share ideas, strategies with me. Nothing is carved in stone. If you come up with a better idea, I promise you we will use it. Okay, enough said. Look forward to working with you. Have a wonderful first month.